So is hentai art? That is the question. A topic that came up about 4 months ago or something, and I think that it prompted a discussion. I believe this was a Lady Emery inspiration,
It
and
sure was.
and I'm not even sure which direction you're going to argue in, but I know I'm going to argue against you no matter what you say. So, what is the story here with this? What is hentai even?
Is hentai art?
That's
Oh, I forgot
great.
that
I wasn't
fucking
sure.
drop.
I'm sure you can pull it up.
Out to get the drop. Yeah.
I was actually going to start real quick with the definition of art, which, according to Google, is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as a painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. And what I want to argue is I think some hentai, primarily I would argue in like the Dojin sense, is art, and others is just what I will be calling they are just
Let us
here
do
for the
one
clicks.
last crossword together as brothers.
No.
Shall we? Yes, let's.
Nope. No. It's called hentai, and it's art.
Awesome. Well,
Yes.
I know, Mitz, that you have watched a ton of hentai, so I actually had a task for you here,
I'd
which
love to
is
hear it.
great because you're coming in blind to all of my notes here.
Oh
So
yeah.
what
Shit.
what is the best studio? What is the best hentai studio, and what is the worst?
So
For dick clicks.
what is it?
Simply for dick clicks.
Simply for dick. What is a dick click again?
to make
It's like you're thinking with your
the
deck.
PP to make the PP go boom.
Listen, this is going to be
Yep.
a warning. This is a hentai episode. So if you are under the age of 18 or easily offended,
Get the fuck out.
there you go. That's how we usually start those hentai episodes. So yeah, that's your warning. I just don't know what to say other than that because for dick clicks, listen, there's almost no hentai that's not dick clicks. They don't make like artful hentai where it's like, oh my god, the deep symbolism. She bathed herself in the river in the middle of the forest and it purified her because water is the purification of the soul. You will never get that from hentai. It is just not like that. You're more likely to have an ogre whip out a tree-sized penis and jam it into an elf and watch her explode than to have her bathe in a river and purify herself.
And that's what gets you off.
I'm not saying that's what gets me off. I'm just saying that
But that's
hentai-
what you went to immediately.
It's because it's funny. There is a hentai where a monster is having sex with a girl and his dick turns into a tree and then she explodes.
So
That exists in hentai. But
that would have emotional power.
okay.
So that would
here.
technically be art in that sense because it elicits the emotion, humor, laughter,
Okay.
joy.
All right. So to answer
More
Emery,
than just a dick click. Would you agree, Lady Emery?
Yeah. That does feel like it's more than just a dick click. It feels like we're gonna have a conversation about what the tree symbolizes and what does
Yes.
the elf symbolize in this.
okay, look, we're gonna have the. So you asked me about the best studios.
Yeah, best studios. Like, what
The
is
best
your
studio
favorite?
in hentai is Studio T-Rex.
What about Pink Pineapple?
Pink Pineapple is a very old studio that's been around since the
Mhm.
90s, but it is not the best hentai studio. The best studio is Studio T-Rex, and
Because of the boobs.
because Studio T-Rex draws boobs better than any other studio. They tend to have better animation than any of the other studios. And the animation does matter a lot in hentai because you will find that if you pull up hentai from the 90s, they're drawn very poorly and it's just very hard to get your dick clicks from very poorly drawn anime that looks like, you know, like I'm thinking like La Blue Girl. Like it's stuff that's super old. T-Rex is drawn like all the images are real glossy, like they look great. Everything's like almost HD. It's almost like you're watching 4K, in comparison. And it's just so that makes it a little better because you want to be able to see things better. Uh pornography is very visual. So and especially if you're watching it on like a computer. So you want it to be visually appealing. So now there are other studios like Studio A1C that are
Mhm.
very good at drawing characters, but a lot of their characters tend to look the same all the time. So you can pretty much look at a cover art from a hentai and say, boom, that's A1C because I can tell just off the face and the eyes that's A1C because they don't deviate. That's fine. We cover all this in our hentai episodes. I tend to not mind A1C, but normally I will pick things that are like up. I usually pick based on what stuff's new because I don't want to just cover episode 7 of some hentai.
So I feel like I'm going to be playing referee in this segment.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish.
This I wanted to bring up this point.
Yeah.
Emery's point here is doujin versus hentai. I would argue that attention to detail in doujin and also more artsy put into the work comparatively, right? So what you're talking about here with this particular studio,
T-Rex?
T-Rex, they really take the female form into account when making their porn.
They're gonna get real in there on the nipples. Like you're gonna get to see like the wrinkles of the areola even. Like they're in there.
So
You know what I'm saying? Like it's detailed HD shit.
So that brings that up to almost the doujin line, right?
Right. Right. And that's why I wanted to know how some of these ranked because I would say like what I've seen is the boobs that look like they are water balloons stapled to a woman's chest that are going in all sorts of directions. And the nipples
Yeah.
are poorly drawn. And you just have awful noises where it's clearly just some dude at 2 a.m. being like, I don't know, I'm just gonna put my hand in a jar of marmalade and just squish a little bit. And
Yeah,
that'll be the noise.
the slapping doesn't do it for me either, man. Like that is not artful. That is just sad flapping. Yeah. It's not even like that. It's like it's like a hard thump almost.
What?
Yeah, it's like a
You don't even watch hentai. You don't even know what you're talking
You've
about.
made me watch enough hentais at this point.
Okay. I mean, there are other studios, just to finish the question, the worst studios, nobody wants to watch Queen Bee. Studio Queen Bee is real weird. They tend to do, like, the bondage stuff, the hardcore, like, incest. Like, they get into the weird shit that, like, we never seem to want to watch. And there's other stuff I don't even want to describe here, but the Queen Bee is pretty weird. And then there's other studios that tend to do like more fantasy stuff. So they're like, oh, this girl decided she was going to walk through this forest on the way to this castle, and the forest was known as the impregnable, like magical forest of death or some shit. So she goes through it anyway, and as she goes through it, every conceivable living organism in the forest tries to have sex with her and does.
Okay.
It's like, well, why did you go in the forest? But it's like that's where you end up with a girl.
She wanted to be pregnable, I guess.
I don't know.
My question to Lady Emery is a doujin about Bakugo fucking Midoriya art?
That is a great question because to that point,
Defend your case.
I've seen excellently drawn doujins where it just looks like time and energy got put in. And then I've seen graphic, horrifying choices where they're just trying to be I don't even know what the kink is about at that point. And there are bad doujins out there. I still think most bad doujins have more time and energy put into them. But now that I'm saying that out loud,
there's not a whole studio behind it.
There's not a whole studio behind it, but I'm also realizing we are in the age of AI, and it's like, what if I'm clicking on a doujin thinking it's been drawn by a human and it's an AI and there's actually 6 fingers if I look closely enough? Is that art then? So now you're making me question my own case.
I will say
How is it art?
anything with AI involved is not art. Sorry, AI overlords. Don't come at me. I'm just saying if it's generated and there's no human touch to it, it is not art. So I'm going to eliminate any Dojin that is made with AI.
Well,
Yes, I agree.
and the hentai studios have got to be pissing their pants about AI because it's going to be so easy for them to get wiped out by AI because hentai is not particularly creative a lot of the time. It's very much a lot of the same stuff. It's not like the animation is particularly flawless. They tend to use a lot of loops, so they'll be, if you're lucky, you'll get a really long loop and it won't be too obvious, but sometimes they're really short and then it's really terrible looking. But like these people will, not that I want to talk about AI really, but like they will get wiped out. Hentai will be the first thing. There's already probably as much AI porn online as there is regular porn anyway. So I mean, it's just like it'll be quick. It'll be a swift death for for a lot of these studios for sure. They're probably already feeling it.
Right. And you're right. We don't have to go down the
And
AI
that's not
rabbit hole,
art.
but I think I would, and I don't say I think I would agree. It's not art. It's somebody putting into essentially what would be a chat GPT, but for AI to say, I want to see this character and this character making out or macking it up. And that's,
I want to
okay,
see
that's
the
your,
Pillar Men splitting, Geo in half with their logs.
Geo. Who's that?
Giorno Giovanni.
Oh, Giorno Giovanni. Oh man. Well, okay.
but to that point, I did want to talk about and you can correct me again on my pronunciation. I'm trying to get better, but I think it's called Ikkyo, the very famous one called The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife.
It's
Do
ukiyo.
you know?
It's ukiyo-e.
Ukiyo-e. I'll just keep saying it until I get it right. Ukiyo-e. And The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife is a very, very famous one that I think everyone knows of. It is a woman splayed out with octopus at her
Hoo-ha?
pussy,
Pussy.
essentially. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say like vagina. I'm like, no, that's not the right. It's pussy. Like
It's a
at her
it's a
pussy, and then
pussy.
another tiny octopus at her mouth. And what is occurring, according to the text, is something that I have seen and either in Dojin or hentai, like quite often where it's like a reluctant fantasy where she's like, I don't want it, but like I'm coming, and he's like, and the octopus is thinking, I want to make her come, and you find out that the baby octopus is its son, which is a whole thing that I don't like to think about, but I just feel like that is like all of those are very, very, very common in Dojin and hentai. And so it's just fascinating because I would say Ikioi that is art, right? Even though it's not safe for work, or it's sort of the predecessor to hentai, I guess.
Yeah, I would say that's art.
I have a hard time. It's very difficult for me to say with how much weird like there's art in museums that I'll look at and I'll say and I'll be like, this is art, but this is also trash. You know? Like there are even artists that sell their stuff for millions of dollars. Like think about like I'm not making any judgments about art here because I don't want anybody to like get their butt hurt, but it's like think about like Jackson Pollock. The guy just like puts a big fucking canvas on the ground, walks around and just throws paint at it randomly with like a brush.
I'll tell you whose butt hurts.
Anybody can fucking do that, but he sells his art for $20 million a piece because apparently it's like the angles and blah blah blah. It's like okay, all right, let's not get crazy. It's just a bunch of splatter marks on a piece of paper.
Midoriya's butt hurts because he's at the bottom.
Midoriya
In
would
my
absolutely
Dojin.
be a bottom.
In
Yep.
your Dojin. So I can't really say that the ukiyo-e painting is not art because that's just as much art as some guy randomly walking around and making spin art on a piece of paper. But maybe art stops when there's not like an intended meaning behind it. And hentai doesn't have much of an intended meaning. It's just recycled. A lot of the time, it's just recycled same stuff with, different girls, different hair.
It does have a purpose to make you come.
The dick clicks.
To make you To make you feel sweaty.
to make you feel hot and bothered in your pants.